Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
Howdy ho, neighbors, and if you get that reference, we can be friends. Welcome, folks. I am the remix. He is the original, and we are back. All right, the dynamic father and son duo. And I want to hit you with this. You know, I'm a history major, and you
Which means
know,
you
uh,
have old stuff. Yeah,
well,
go
yeah,
ahead.
all right. But did you know 108 years ago, the Americans,
Oh,
very brave Americans, beat El Guapo in the Battle of Santa Poca?
El Guapo
El
from the
Guapo.
three uh amigos.
Yeah, yeah. It was said 108 years ago, and they beat them on Cinco de Mayo today. So happy.
El Guapo. My favorite scene from there is
Uh, let me
would
guess.
you
Let
say
me guess. A plethora of pinatas.
that's one? But the other one is when Chevy Chase shoots the invisible horseman. He says the magic word.
All right,
And poof, he
I never
falls.
want to see you
And
ever do that with your tongue ever again. We're gonna move on.
and he's like, "You shot the invisible horseman." Well, how did I see him? He's invisible. So yeah.
All right, let's get to sports because it's why you don't
Would you
like
say
my.
we're gonna have a plethora of sports in golf?
I hope we have a plethora of sports. All
Do
right,
you even know what plethora means?
I do know what plethora means.
Because I would just like to know that the person who is helping me knows what plethora means.
God, you're gonna make another short real video of well, this is what I deal with. I'm trying to segue and you keep screwing it up.
Segway.
Yeah,
Wasn't
not
that a two-wheel thing you ride or something? Okay, all right, let's go. Why are you taking so long?
oh man. All right. So folks, what we got for you today is we're gonna kind of cover the end of the Mavericks Lakers series, or not Lakers, sorry, Clippers series, and preview against OKC, which I think starts on Tuesday evening. And we want to try to wrap this up somewhat quick because we got Game 7 of the Stars to go watch, um, which you predicted Las Vegas in 7. All right. A
Yes.
traitor to the Stars. I picked the Stars in, I think I said 6 originally, but I still have the Stars. So hopefully the Stars pull it out and make you look even a bigger fool than you are.
Well, I'm betting against them because then hopefully it's backward psychology that they actually win.
Yeah, because well, I can probably assure you that none of them have seen our podcast, so it's not going to affect them.
Are you sure? Are you sure that what we say and what we do, like those people who wear a certain shirt and all that stuff, that it affects the way your team plays, right?
I I haven't
That'll
changed
be
my
another
cowboy
thing.
underwear in 10 years. It hasn't worked. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, yeah, we know, we can smell it.
Hey, hey,
Keep
hey,
going.
hey, hey. All right. In the last segment, we're going to talk about is our sports pet peeves at live sporting events. I was at the Astros game yesterday watching Linda's elementary school cheerleader group do a great performance before the game. And but there were some sport pet peeves, the things that just get on our nerves. All right. But before we get to all that, you were saying in the pregame, you because I was like, there's no really Cowboys news that I want to talk about. And you're like, no, I got news. So what the heck with the Dallas Cowboys do you want to bring up?
I've been watching all the stuff with Zeke this week. Oh,
You
hey, it's rhymes. Zeke this week. It's Zeke week. And so as I predicted, and I still hold to it, I think Zeke has stuff left in the tank, and I think he has something seriously to prove. And not only that, it's first off, he's going to wear number 15, which is going to be weird, but it's what he wore at Ohio State. And
For those
He's getting,
Buckeyes out there, that'd be the Ohio State.
yes, the Ohio State.
Well, I
Yep.
lived there for
Okay.
5 years. I can't let it slide. My
Yeah.
Buckeye buddies would give it to me.
The Ohio. That's because there's all English majors there. They have to say the. Um, but I think Zeke has, and he's even said it. He has unfinished business. I think they're going to have well, he's obviously going to have a much better offensive line than he had it with the Patriots. And I think it's just a matter of chemistry. Him and Dak have a certain chemistry, and I just think he has an incredible chip on his shoulder to prove that they should have never let go of me in the first place. And I'm going to show this Dallas Cowboy nation, because he talks about that all the time, that I'm here to do something, to get a ring. Now I get it. As Cowboy fans say it every year, we're going to get a ring. This is our year or whatever. But I think from the running back position, and I already talked about Nathaniel Pete coming from Missouri. I think he is a sleeper in that running back stall because what was it? He ran a 4.37 at the combine. He is one of the fastest backs coming out of this draft class that nobody looked at. And so I just think you've got a chance with him being a sleeper, and I think Zeke has something to prove. And what is it the Cowboys had a problem with? Inside the 5 yard line. Since he left, and a little bit before he left, because he really wasn't himself. And I just think it's going to be something that it's everybody is just kind of looking past it, saying, "Oh, he's done" or whatever. They're looking at what he did with the Patriots, but you can't compare the two because first off, he didn't have his best friend there with him, and the other part of it is Dak when he has a good running back to not only run those when we need 3 yards, 4 yards for the first down, but everybody always ignores what Zeke is able to do in the pass blocking game. He's one of the best in the business of picking up blitzes. He's one of the best in the business at pass blocking. So I think you're going to see a huge difference in that. Another thing that was mentioned this week is Brandon Cooks was talking about how remember I said Tolbert is another one to watch at the wide receiver position. He's going to be the third wide receiver. Brandon Cook said he's taken him under his wing, and he said, I wish I had a person like myself when I was his age, because he said he's more talented than me, he's faster than I am, and he gets the game. He says, now I'm going to work with this kid, and he said, watch what he does this year because he's going to get his chance. And if you go back and look at some of the highlights of Tolbert and the catches he was making, Dak has confidence in it. And the kid could get, when he got his chance to get in the game, which was few and far between, the kid has made a difference and can catch the ball. So those are two things that I think, well, three things with Pete, with Zeke, and with Tolbert that I think we're going to be talking about that during the season. I
Listen,
mark my words.
listen. Your microphone doesn't even believe you because it's trying to muffle you. Okay, all right.
It's trying to muffle me.
Yes, you're coming across muffled. So whatever you got to do over there, try to fix it. There's times where you sound great. It's when you're not talking nonsense when it comes to the Cowboys. And look, I said this on the last video we talked about the Cowboys with the draft, and you know, do I think Zeke can be serviceable in a backup role? Yes. Am I going to pin the hopes of the Dallas Cowboys on a man named Pete? No. That doesn't give me a lot of confidence. All right. I have more confidence in your Tolbert example than I do in the running back room. So I just those particular situations, none of them make me warm and fuzzy. Because I'm worried about first and second down And we all know the farther you get away from the first down marker on third down, the lower your percentage is, and the more you got to rely on Dak Prescott to make spectacular plays and a really good number one, a really good tight end, a solid number two, and that's about it to catch the ball. And I think defenses can zone in on that. No one is scared of Zeke Elliott coming out of the backfield. No one is scared of Deuce Vaughn. No one is scared of Mr. Pete. And no one is scared of Malik Davis. They're going to say, we can stop you with our front seven. We're not bringing the safeties down. That way you can't beat us over the top with CD, with Cooks, with Tolbert, and those type of guys. So uh, I think you're just cheering for Zeke because you got a brand new autograph picture behind you that you won
So
at
it's not
auction.
autographed. It's not autographed.
Oh, okay. Well,
But
they stole your money
here,
there.
but you say, well, if we go over the top, who was mentioned in the MVP voting last year?
No,
Was it Dak? Was
don't.
it Dak?
Yes, it was Dak, but defenses at least had to respect the line as well as Tony Pollard's speed. Okay, he didn't really have it last year as he did the year before or the years before, but they respected the run a lot more than they are going to do. They're going to do next year. You're
And why do you think the line is so much worse than it was last year?
because they're going
Because
to
they
have
lost the guy who was never in the game because he was always hurt.
so. But you're going to make me argue against my previous argument here. But Tyron Smith played 13 games. He was the number one rated left tackle in the league last year. Is that an anomaly? Yes, I do agree. But Guyton is not going to be at that level as a rookie, I don't believe. He's a rookie, and he's not a high touted, can't miss like Tyron was when he came out of USC or Zach Martin coming out of Notre Dame. And you're going to have a third round pick starting at center, another rookie who he looks like a dog on tape. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you have 2/5 of your line that have never played in the NFL. That's why I think their line's going to be worse. And you don't have a star running.
Yeah,
You don't have a
I
top level running back behind them.
yeah, I'm not with you on that because linemen, to me, it doesn't take as much for a lineman to get NFL ready, so to speak.
The
And what I
two
mean by that
positions on the
is
line, left tackle or the tackle protecting
they're
the
gonna
blind
move
side.
they're gonna move Smith to left tackle, right?
No, they're not. They're keeping Smith at left guard. He's an all pro left guard. They took Guyton, so they put Guyton at tackle.
Huh. The main thing. We'll see. I have a feeling Smith may end up back at left tackle and the other one moved to guard, but the rookie moved to guard. But
You
we'll
think they're
see.
going to put a 6'8", 340-pound dude at guard?
I've done it in Madden, so
Oh my God, you didn't just rep. We're moving on. We're moving on. You just lost all credibility.
I'm
All right,
telling you,
let's
I know what I'm talking about. I'm all
Jerry
in. I'm
Jerry.
all in.
This is not an episode for you today. All right, let's talk about the Mavericks and the end of the Clippers series. I don't know if you got to catch it, but I watched every second of it since I'm doing my Mavericks only podcast twice a week now. And the fifth and sixth game, man, once LA got down, they just, I was worried going into game five after game four on how LA looked without Kawhi. It looked like Paul George was freed up and James Harden was freed up. And I crucified almost Jason Kidd for not making any coaching adjustments going those last two games. He made some really good adjustments on the fact of keeping his bigs in the game down the stretch. But at the end of the day, they weren't really tested in either of those games either because the Mavericks just came out and whooped their ass. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
it was an absolute killing. Game four or game five was, they won by 30, 123 to 93. And then game six was not this close, but it was 114 to 101. And that game was over, at the start of the fourth quarter almost. So I want to give kudos to Jason Kidd for making adjustments. They came out ready to play both those games. because the 2 games they lost, they came out sluggish, slow starts, and Luka Luka Doncic, he looked like, I mean, he's still taking some bad threes, but ultimately he's not in that, at least the last game and a half from what I saw. He's trying to force one or two to find his rhythm from out there, because in the first half of game 6, I think he was 0 for 5 or 0 for 6 from deep, but he was getting whatever he wanted from mid range. And so he kind of adjusted, the noticing he wasn't getting um, what he wanted from behind the arc. Uh, and then Daniel Gafford manning up in the middle against Zubac was a lot of fun to watch. And with all the athletes that Luka and Kyrie got around him, and Kyrie was absolutely dynamite in these 2 games. Um, all the athletes around, man, this might be the new Lob City. Like, they're throwing lobs left and right to Jones,
No,
to,
yeah,
to
that was
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Well, see,
So,
if you go back, if you go back to the Clippers, they have a certain jinx, and I call the jinx by the name of James Harden. James Harden, if he's on the team, they're going to look great. They're going to go a certain distance in the playoffs, and then they're going to lose because Harden cannot. He's just one of those guys. He's kind of like Chris Paul. They're great, they're fantastic, but when they get to the playoffs, some reason the basketball gods are against them, and you just saw it. And without Kawhi Leonard in there, then it really falls on Harden, because let's see, how old is Paul George now?
I
He's
think he's around 32, 33 years old.
Yeah, in basketball years, he's kind of up there. Harden is how old?
I think
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
Harden's 34.
Yeah, and then Russell Westbrook, he's what, 78 now? No, seven.
Paul George is 34 years old.
Yeah, and so you're talking a bunch of players that are in basketball years, and the miles on them is just it's up there against the Mavericks team that's fairly young. So I think that kind of showed as the series went on. Now, like I said, without Kawhi Leonard in there, and Kawhi Leonard's another one who seems to have a jinx since he left the Spurs of not being able to finish the season out and take home the trophy. So, which
Well,
is
he
kind of
he he
you
did
know,
take home the trophy of the year he left the Spurs, or when he was traded with Toronto. So, uh, but
yeah,
but
Toronto, yeah, yeah, you're right.
but
So
since he got to LA, he's been hit with the injury bug. He's always been finicky with injuries. Russell
it's
Westbrook is a shell of the player he used to be, the walking
it's
triple double. And then
yeah, yeah,
James Harden is
yeah.
just, you know, I can't stand James Harden. You know, the if we take this back a nickel, when he was in Houston, man, Houston, they bent over backwards for that dude. They changed the complete
Uh,
style of play, the
yeah,
coach
I'm
he
in
wanted.
Houston. Yes.
They brought in Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, all these people to try to win with him and fit him. And, in the Western Conference Finals, it was unfortunate for Chris Paul to get hurt, but that's what Chris Paul does in the playoffs. He gets hurt. And then he goes to Brooklyn, with KD and Kyrie. That was a disaster. And so he winds his way out of there as well, goes to Philadelphia. And then he winds his way out of Philadelphia after the GM in Philadelphia was his GM in Houston, who catered to his every whim and wish almost. And then he gets traded to the Clippers, and everyone, I remember that trade first happened before the season, was like, "Oh, they're title contenders." I'm like, "Nah, you got a bunch of old dudes that are breaking down, who are past their prime, and who should be the third best player on the team that they're playing on, and
Mhm.
they're all third best guys trying to be the best guy on that team, and there's no." There's alpha personalities, but there's no alpha game with the Clippers anymore.
Well, and it's like I said, I think if they had got up in the series early and taken it in 4 or 5 games, then that gives them a better chance. But the longer a series goes on, the more that those basketball years start to show, in my opinion. So, yeah, I just think the Mavericks are a younger team. I think the Mavericks, when you watch them play, they look like they're having fun. They enjoy the game of basketball, and so um, I think they have a good chance moving forward, but I still think in the end Boston will win it. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I predicted Dallas to get to Western Conference Finals and lose to the Nuggets. But if the defense they're playing, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like as a coach,
Mhm.
with my background, I love defense. I was an offensive guy growing up. You watched me play back in the day. I love being behind the 3-point line all the time. And when I first got into coaching, I was an offensive dude. I love sets. I love the Princeton. I love different offensive formulas to get guys looks. But then I got bestowed upon me to be in charge of the defense at one of my jobs, and so I really fell in love with that process of learning defense and teaching defense, and that's the one constant in the game. And Dallas now is really, really playing some great defense. It's collective. Luka's not going to be a lockdown defender, but you had Kyrie Irving talking, I want to be known as a defender now. Like that dude I mean, he's ridiculously special on the offensive end, but he wants to be playing defense now. I mean, that is a seismic shift. And I think going into this next series with OKC, who is the youngest team in the league, now, Gildress Alexander, that dude scares me. He's a beast. And
Mhm.
just that they may be just young enough and inexperienced enough to not know their situation. And that makes them dangerous, from top to bottom, from Chet Holmgren to Jalen Williams. Um,
See, seeing Kyrie is another one that I look at two different games, two different styles, or whatever. When I'm talking about what Zeke has to prove with the Cowboys, I think Kyrie is another one who had something to prove. He had been kind of labeled this bad guy, been labeled this,
you,
um,
you
when
can't
he
compare
lost his
those
game.
two.
I'm just telling you, I think when it comes to people who have something to prove to the world on that stage, it shows when they have that chip on their shoulder. And I think Kyrie has come out and he says, I'm going to show everyone that I am still this really great basketball player and I'm going to win a championship here.
Well, you remember
So,
Kyrie already has a ring. So he won one
yeah,
in Cleveland. So the reason I say
yeah.
you can't compare Kyrie and Zeke is Kyrie is in his prime. And I think the only thing Kyrie had to prove was that he was done with the drama. I don't think there's anything on the basketball court he has to prove. Zeke is way past his prime. He does not have the juice in the box anymore. And yeah, he wants to prove something to the world, but he doesn't have the talent left to do it. Great dude, great locker room guy. Yes, he can block. Yes, he can get you a touchdown inside the 3-point line. But that dude better not be carrying the ball more than 10 times a
How,
game.
how
But
old is Kyrie?
Kyrie is
How,
32, 33
and
years
how
old.
old Zeke?
Zeke is 28, but you're talking two different sports. In basketball, you stay in your prime. Your prime basketball age is between the age of 28 and 34. Dirk Nowitzki destroyed the league in 2011 at the age of 34.
And
Look at
when
Jordan's
is
run in
your
the 90s,
running back? When is your running back's years?
the first 4 years of his career.
I still think you're okay.
And I love how
All
you
right.
take a OKC Dallas Mavericks preview and take it back to the damn Cowboys.
Hey man, I'm good like that. I
Oh man,
segued like you're riding the Segway. I segued it
you
to do the
you
comparison.
segued it back to anyways, whatever. Oh man, all right. But how the series? I think this is going to be a very back and forth series between OKC and the Mavericks. Um, I do give the Mavericks the edge because in the playoffs, you always look at who has the most best players. And two out of the top three players in this series are wearing a Mavericks jersey. Shai Gilgeous Alexander is phenomenal, but his running mates ain't at the level at Luka and Kyrie. And so with that, I give them the edge to start the series. And then you add the defense. Then you start adding the toughness of PJ Washington and Jones Jr. and Gafford and Derek Lively and all the rest of the guys around them. Man, I give the edge to the Mavs, even though the Thunder are the number one seed and had the best record in the league this year. I think the Mavs have a better team, better roster, and playing better right now. As long as they don't play afternoon games, because anytime they play an afternoon game, they come out flat. So I give the edge to the Mavs over at OKC. I'll get more in depth to that during my Mavericks podcast, but that's where I see the series going.
And,
I
and,
think
and, and what happened in the last game between the Mavericks and OKC? What was that score? You
that was
remember?
I don't. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, the Mavericks were destroyed by
What
OKC,
what
135 to 86.
and what date was that?
The date on that game, let's if I can turn off stuff here. Hopefully you didn't hear
Awkward,
that commercial. But
awkward for the audience.
it
Oh,
was on April 14th, wasn't it? Yes, April 14th.
okay. Well, I would almost guarantee you that was one of the two games since they acquired Washington and Gafford that they lost when they went on the end of the year run of winning 18 out of 20. And I would almost guarantee that was probably on the back of a back to back. And I would almost say Luka didn't play or Kyrie didn't play. One of those two. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't have anything in front of me, but they may have just showed up and got their tail whooped. I mean, that happens too. The Thunder are a good team. I'm not taking anything away from them. And but when I look at it and I'd be objective as I can as a basketball person, as I give Dallas the edge based off the talent that's on the roster, the two out of the top three best players, and how they are playing really, really good defense right now. I think it's gonna be a good series. I'm predicting Dallas in seven, and I think that's how it's going to end up going. And I think they'll end up meeting the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. Um,
I think once again, if Oklahoma gets up early, like 2 games, 2-1, 3-1, it's over
well,
because
yeah,
I think their youth is going to kill them.
well that was one of the most captain obvious statements ever. If you're up 3-1, you're probably you win the series like 90% of the time.
Well,
I need you to come
okay,
with something better, better analyzing over there. Come on now.
3-2, 2-1,
All right.
0 blast off.
All right, so I gave you a heads up. I'm hoping you found this, and I'm going to tell you where this next segment stems from. And it stems from yesterday's game, our sports pet peeves. Yeah, especially at live events. And here's my biggest pet peeve. When you go to a sporting event, so you know, so I was at a baseball game, I was at the Astros game. What team am I a fan of?
They're a team of the Rangers,
Yeah, I'm a fan of the Rangers, right? Well, the
Texas
Astros,
Texas Rangers.
yeah, the Astros are playing the Mariners. Do you think I was wearing Rangers gear? No.
Mm, mm.
Do not attend a game and wear a team that isn't playing in the game.
Oh yeah, that's how many
That
times we see that.
crap is stupid. So I was in line to get an all-American beef hot dog and my soda and a refill of popcorn. And there's
Are you
this
sure
guy
it's all
standing.
American beef? Sure, it's all American beef,
I
or
can't
you just
confirm
throwing
or
that
deny.
out
I
there?
don't know if it was
Yeah.
kosher or what. Who knows? All right, but there's a guy standing by me, which, by the way, he had no idea what the hell personal space is. All right, but he's standing there in a Cincinnati Reds hat and a Cincinnati Reds shirt, and he's complaining about how long it's taking in line. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, dude, you're wearing red stuff. There's no one in this even like you might be able to get away with it if the Red Sox were playing or something, but there's no one in this stadium that should be wearing red based off of the Mariners and the Astros. Don't wear that crap to live sporting events if your team ain't playing. It's stupid.
Tell 'em you ain't getting no Skyline chili, no Cincinnati Skyline chili on your hot dog either.
No, he ain't getting none of that. Now he was like, and then he wants to try to have a conversation with me. I'm like, nah, bro, just give me some space, man. Like, get back to your Twitter feed or whatever the hell you're checking out, and but get away from my my bubble. So that's my first sports pet peeve. Did you come up with one, or do I need to go to the next one?
I have lots of them,
You got lots of them.
but
Hit me with your next one. Throw the next
um,
one out there.
my first one is the folks who are in front of you and don't give a crap or just totally oblivious that you're trying to watch the event yourself. The ones who have, and I'm all for everybody having signs and things like that, but it's those people, and it's usually the one person who's probably the first time at the game. They're holding up, Tuesday, Tuesday, holding up, his head or whatever, the giant head, and they just keep holding it up, and you're like, yo, hey, hey, I'm trying, could sit down, trying to watch the game,
Yeah,
you know.
that is really terrible, especially for vertically challenged folks like yourself.
Oh, you're so hilarious, man. You know, so you're hilarious coming from the coach who called a kid a midget one time.
Whoa, whoa!
So,
Why are we bringing that up? Whoa, that was
yeah,
way back in
yeah,
the day when you could do that. Like my
yeah,
first
yeah.
year
You got in
coaching.
trouble for that too.
I
So,
actually I didn't get in trouble for that. I walked into my athletic coordinator's coach's office. I was like, "Hey, man, you gonna get an email about this?" He's like, "What'd you do?" I was like, "I called a kid a midget," and then
so it shows your long-term attack of us vertically challenged people, and you're lucky.
look,
I'm your dad. You're lucky that I chose your mom, who wasn't vertically challenged, who was actually taller than me. And, you know, and she's still a good friend to this day. But, if
well, I
I hadn't
mean,
have made that choice, you would have been a little. If I went with my prior girlfriend, she was a short little Latino girl, you would have been about 5'2". So you're lucky. You're just lucky that that all
yeah.
worked out.
All right,
But
here's my second one with apparel of wearing at the game.
apparel.
Yeah, the apparel that you should or shouldn't wear at a game. If you attend a game and you have a jersey or a shirt or something of that nature, and that player left the team on bad terms, don't wear that person's jersey. Don't 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 no. Don't if there is an issue or that player's in a bad light, don't wear that jersey. Or the dude retired 15 years ago and he's not a Hall of Famer. Like you go to a Cowboys
Are you
game and you're
telling me I can't wear my Ryan Leaf Cowboys jersey?
yeah, I would stay away from that one. But if you want to wear Emmett Smith, cool. All right. Don't wear like honestly, I wouldn't I would kind of be I would look at you sideways if you wore DeMarco Murray because he wasn't a great. He was good, but move on your jersey game. Try something else. All right. So I can't stand. I'm not a huge fan of. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. Anyways, what you got? I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm going to be honest with the audience.
This is more when I think about pet peeves at a live game, then you've got the people who are the over yellers. It's like, and you've heard me talk about this at the Houston Texas game. We used to have, or my wife used to have season tickets. I didn't have season tickets. She had those before we got married. But they had a guy about 2 rows in front of us. Now it's the
Bougie.
Texans, right? Good. They don't have a whole lot to celebrate. At least, they've got a lot of hope in CJ Stroud this year. I think they're going to do a lot better. But a few years back, the JJ Watt years and all that stuff, they didn't have a whole lot to celebrate. So when they made a first down, it was a big deal, the whole stadium. But there was a guy he was tall, skinny, wore a cowboy hat, and every time they score a first down, he would stand up and he'd go, "Boom." And I mean, it is so loud that that whole section up there can hear it. And I mean, you'd be sitting there and you're getting your popcorn, all of a sudden, and you're like, whoa, and it's just, some people got into it, but every time they score a first down, it's happening every time. And I mean, on a long drive, there can be like 5 or 6 first downs, maybe. And it's just, they don't get a touchdown. And when they score a touchdown, they don't go, "Touchdown." No, he just goes first down. So he just focused on that. It's like he's his own little cheering dude that is just hired to do the "Touchdown." And that's exactly how he sounded. "Touchdown." It's not even a first down for the Houston Texans. It's not like that. It's "Touchdown."
I can
God
I can confirm.
bless his soul, but after a while, it's like, dude, okay, we get it. Okay, it's like, can we just move to another section? I can't take anymore.
I can
So,
confirm this because I did go years back to a Cowboys Texan game. At DeAndre Hopkins ended up catching the winning touchdown in overtime. It was a great game, but they yeah, that dude was there and it was hilarious.
now, can we talk about just sports in general, pet peeves, things that drive me crazy?
I got one more, or well, I got
Okay.
two, but one is quick. I also at baseball games. I don't think if you are a grown man without a child at the game, you should not have a baseball glove. I'm sorry. Like you grew out of that stuff when you were 15 years old, and 15 might be a little too long. All right. If you are going to catch it like a man, like you did at the San Diego Padres game, holding
I
your
didn't
beer.
spill my beer. Yes.
Yep. Holding your beer, didn't spill it, knocked it down into your lap. But grown men, leave the gloves at home if you're not with a kid. If you're with a kid, cool. The kid has his glove, you have yours. It's a father son bonding experience or mother son, mother daughter. I don't care what the combo, but like it just looks. It's like, come on, man. Like you're a grown man. Like I don't know. That one just kind of irks me. It's not like the end of the world by any means. None of these are, but and the last one, and then I'll let you get your next one. I can't stand this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
This is, and it's probably like that because the camera's higher up. And this translates in speaking of segue, it segues into probably into the all the sports realm you wanted to refer to is enjoy the moment of the moment. Like you don't have to have everything in life recorded. Ironic to say since we're recording this, like but like especially really outside of sports, but like when I go to concerts, like I've seen people duck lips. Oh, that is totally getting made into a reel. Oh man. Um, but like at concerts, I've seen people have their phone up, FaceTiming people who aren't at the concert so they can watch the concert. And I'm like, dude, they didn't pay no ticket. Like they didn't drive here, deal with the obnoxious people parking, pay $1,800 for parking, and then spend $23 on a beer and $63 on that questionable offbeat all beef hot dog, and then get way overpriced Dippin' Dots, and you can't even get a large because all they got is a small cup because they sold out of the large cups. I'm just maybe something happened
Yeah,
yesterday. I'm
I
referring to.
had my first thing at Dipping Dots the other day. It was actually pretty good.
I love
Once you get
Dippin'
past
Dots.
the fact that it gives you a brain freeze while you're trying to melt the dot into a regular piece of ice cream. But other than that, way to go,
Uh,
Dipping Dots. It's actually pretty good.
Well, some people get a brain freeze quicker than others because their brain is smaller. But
It's
what's
because, oh boy.
what what was your next one? What was your next pet peeve?
So mine, when it comes to, you made me think of a couple more, but mine really is sports in general, is of how, because, yeah, you brought up the phone thing. I think the phone thing is, you know, it's crazy of how many things. I would like to see the data on how many pictures and videos of just useless crap that nobody sees, that nobody even cares about except for the two people or three people that in your family who give you a like. So that's one. But when it comes to sports in general, the my biggest pet peeve, because I used to love it and now I hate it because it's not the NBA slam dunk competition used to be one of the coolest things ever. You used to look forward to it because it was going to be the best players. It was going to be Michael Jordans of the world and all that stuff. And now it's just a crappy crap to me. It's because you should have the best players out there. And it just has turned into a junk game. And it's the same thing with, and I'm going to hit on a couple of these. It's like the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl used to be a fun game to watch because some of them actually cared. Back in the days of Roger Staubach and Terry Bradshaw, I know I'm aging myself there, but you used to look forward to it because they used to actually play the game and care about the game.
Well, even in the
So,
late '90s, early 2000s, they still played. If you remember, Sean Taylor absolutely destroyed the punter.
oh
Uh,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Sean T. I mean, Sean T was a different breed for sure, but um, like I see what you're saying there. The slam dunk contest, like it got to its peak in I think in the early 2000s, and then it was saved a little bit by the Nate Robinson, Dwight Howard kind of back and forth Superman versus Kryptonite, and then you had in the last uh, I think last year, not this past one, but 2 years ago, Matt McClung coming out of the G League. I watched his highlights when he was in high school. Short little white dude jump out of the gym, and but yeah, I agree with you. It's lost its luster. It is a travesty that LeBron James never went into a slam dunk
And
contest.
now the other one too, because it still happens, is at baseball games. As soon as the guitar starts playing, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Put me in center field by John Fogerty. Great song. Great job, John, on the song. But they overuse that crap. They play it all the time at baseball games, and it just gets old. One of the things I used to love about the San Diego Padres, and I lived in San Diego 15 years while I was in the Navy. In case you got to go to quite a few games back when they were
Mhm.
at the old Qualcomm Stadium before they got the new stadium. And the new stadium they do a great job with, but it was just I don't know who ran the music there, but that dude was always spot on and had the right songs. When Trevor Hoffman, who's one of the greatest relievers of all time, they played Hell's Bells, man. And when that first gong hit and you knew Trevor was coming in as a Padre fan, it went crazy, and it was just awesome. But I think center field, I stop playing it. I've heard it a million times. Get a new song. Give me some AC/DC, something. Just a
Starting to
little
age
bit
yourself
different.
again.
Yes, yeah, well, the 70s were
Gen,
just 30 years ago, in my mind,
Gen
but
X, Gen X. Um,
that's right. The best.
I would say the
We now have a chat thing named after us. X, right? Gen X. That's what I'm doing. I'm Elon. I'm saying that's for us Gen Xers, right? Because we
calm down,
couldn't handle the Twitter. Couldn't
calm
handle
down.
that.
Uh, no, I would say sports in general, and I think this is more applicable to basketball more than any other sport, just because I see it, coaching and with the advent of a lot of the AAU culture, like these dudes, I can't stand from high school on up. This dude just whooped your ass. And you're gonna go dab them up and be like, "Hey, how's the family?" Blah blah blah. No, that crap should hurt when you lose, and that may be your friend, but he needs to be your friend tomorrow, not during the game, not before the game. That is something I absolutely can't stand with my players. Is they'll walk into an opposing gym and they'll go over to the other team's players and they'll be like, "Oh, what's up, bro? How's life? Blah blah." Nah, it's just when I walked into a gym is I want to get you down. I want to stomp you into the ground. And then when you try to get back up, I'm going to stomp your throat again. And we're going to, as a collective unit, make you reconsider playing basketball ever again. That was the mentality. You don't have that
It,
today from the top all the way down. And they're just like, oh, it's okay. We got another game. What's up?
if
We'll
if
see you again
if
later, bro.
if you go back and look at some of Jordan's games against who was it? Detroit, the Bad Boys of Detroit.
Bad Boys, the Knicks, all those guys.
I mean, they if you got fouled, you got fouled. Sometimes you got tackled. And it was just if you're coming inside, and I think uh, I can't remember, one of the old Hall of Famers said it. Maybe it wasn't Walton, it was someone else. Um, but was talking about the players of today couldn't play back then because you talk about a pet peeve, it's the constant freaking complaining. It's just
Hey,
the
hey,
what
hey,
what.
one of your favorite players is one of the biggest whiners of all time, and that's Timmy D. Tim Duncan was one of the biggest whiners of all time.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna call BS on you're calling Tim Duncan out. Tim
But
Duncan would get in there, play the game, but let's just compare him to little Bronny, to LeBron. LeBron
LeBron is
complains
horrible.
about he's dude. He's at a press conference and well, if we didn't have to play the rest, we probably would have won this game. You got your ass beat because you suck. And you have sucked for a long time because all you do is complain about the damn game. Shut up, play the game. Go inside and freaking knock some people out the way and stop the bitching. Stop it.
Careful, we may have to put a editing beep on this thing. Uh, I think
Stop
that
the stop it.
Okay, I'm really hoping you just stop making noise and that wasn't your mic messing up. But no, it's just the friendly, everyone's cool because everyone plays on, it's the culture now. And I'm not gonna say like players today couldn't play back then or players back then couldn't play today. Like you have different eras of basketball and we can lament ones or we can chastise the new one. I do think the player today is on the average player is a much better athlete than what they were in the 80s and 90s. But your top guys in every era we're going to be able to play in every era. And this is kind of a off topic, but you know, would LeBron be as dominant as he has been? Probably not. Would you can have that debate if we want another day, but you know that's just a pet peeve of mine is they're all being friends and it's translated down to the high school game where I don't think you can truly compete at a certain level if you're friends and cool and you're boys with the person on the other side. It was
Well,
like it was like
I
Charles Barkley. Sorry, but Charles Barkley said like when they went to Chicago, Michael took him out to dinner the night before to make him take his guard down, and he chopped it up with him. Michael, it was a plan of his to set Charles up so Charles wouldn't be Charles Barkley fully against the Bulls especially after the '92 Dream Team.
Yeah, and I think that's really kind of sports specific to the actual sport. I think it's more so in basketball because I think in football that is one thing I think at least I know from our perspective with the Cowboys, Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, and Giants. They don't like each other. They do not. And there's a difference. I think you respect the other guy. You respect them as a player, respect them. But when you get on the field of battle, it is you are the obstacle preventing me from winning. So I'm going to eliminate the obstacle. I'm going to beat you. And I think when you take Dallas and Philadelphia, we know they they hate each other on the field. Hate each other. Fans, we hate each other. But I respect you as that, and I've said this. I've always said this to the NFC East. I respect those fans and those folks because if they weren't there, then we wouldn't have that rival. We wouldn't have that, that competition.
Oh shit! All right, turn your mic back on.
Huh?
There you go. My
Okay.
bad. I
Where'd you
accidentally
lose me?
clicked the button.
Oh, you clicked it. Okay.
Yeah, it
All
was
right.
my fault. It wasn't intentional.
Trying to shut me up. So that's what you're doing. See, he talks about what he has to deal with. He's over here like, okay, well, he's getting a little too personal. Click it. So that's obviously you can't get good technical help these days. But all right, so yeah, I just think it's sports specific. And I think basketball is probably one of the worst ones. Because I would say baseball, football, definitely hockey. They hate each other when they're out there playing each other.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. All right. I think that'll generally wrap us up today. Um, coming up on our time limit, but yeah, I'm excited to see what the Mavs are going to do in round two. I'm excited to get off of here and see watch the stars, and little heads up here in a couple weeks, we're gonna have a little different feel. It's not gonna be sports related. Uh, it's gonna be myself, uh, my dad, the original, and we're gonna have a guest, a guy I served with named Rosenberg, Gary Rosenberg. He's gonna come on, and
Not
we're gonna give our
Rosenberg.
Rosenberg. He's gonna come. We're gonna chop it up and kind of tell our favorite Navy stories and our funny ones since the final version Dallas schedule keeps making excuses why he can't come on. So, um, you know, probably too
He's
busy.
a bull rider, so he gets knocked in the head a few times. So
He's a bull rider. He hasn't made it past 7 seconds yet.
he ain't made it past 3.5. What are you talking about? I'm his dad. I'll be honest. He got
I
to
was,
get past up to 4 or 5 seconds.
I was
Then,
trying,
then he's a
I was,
real bull rider.
I was trying not to
Just so
dog
everybody
my
knows,
brother
the
while
kid,
he's not here.
he has never rode a bull before the last, 2 months in his life. And now he goes pretty much every Friday and rides 3 bulls. And So
Drives
I do
all the
not
way
know
to
what possesses.
Arizona to ride the bull
I'm not sure what possesses a
from
person that
from
weighs
San Diego.
175, 200 pounds that want to strap themselves on a pissed off animal that weighs 2.5 tons. But hey, more power to you guys who do it. I couldn't do it. You got more cojones than I do. So
That's both of us. I'm I'm 6 foot, 240, and I'm not doing that crap. But all right, let's go ahead and call it a night. As I always do, Mission 22. Shout out to them, to what they do for our vets. Shout out to Tel Valhalla Project, as well as Camp Hope. And like I said on one of my videos, they offered me or they're trying to set up a tour for me to get the behind the scenes and really get a handle on what they do out there, um, and meet all the people out there. So I'm excited about that, and lining up guests for the summer. So just tune in to see who's next. But 2 weeks, we got our Navy Story podcast the weekend after Mother's Day. So, um, and yeah,
all
your
right.
turn on your shout outs. Who you got? What you got?
Well, shout out to Dublin Health Concepts helping out with the mental health crisis that we have in Texas, and Seaside Healthcare helping out with the mental health crisis in all of the United States. Um, to our teams out there working hard in the community to help a lot of veterans with that. So, and shout out to the United States Navy. That may be backwards on your screen, but
No, that's right way.
just
You're good.
to all our folks that are deployed. Thank you for your service and thank you for being out there keeping us safe at night with all that you do, standing the watch.
100%. 100%. We did it. Family business. So, all right, y'all. We appreciate y'all listening. Make sure you subscribe, comment, follow. Tell us we're great. Tell us we suck. It don't matter. I know I normally respond to everyone, um, and mainly because I have the
Just,
logins to
just,
do
just,
it. But
just make sure you're all in. Make sure you're all in.
um,
If you're watching this, make sure you're all in. I'm all in.
goodbye, everyone. We love you. Peace.